Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Capricorn November 2023 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant. We're going to use the William Blake Tarot this time. William Blake was an Englishman who was born in the mid-1700s and died around about 1820, I think. Now, he was a mystic, and he was also a poetic genius, as far as I am concerned, up there, in my humble opinion, with the likes of Shakespeare himself. He was also a prolific artist, among other things, and his artwork, well, some of his artwork is contained on each of these cards here. There's a lot more that he did. He was prolific, as I say. Now, as a result of that, you will have your own personal response to the artwork itself. Now, I will point out some of the interesting aspects that I see using my pen here, but you may, of course, you don't need to be restrained by what I am seeing. In fact, you can see it and build upon it yourself, you see. And he uses suits such as poetry, music, science, and painting, which are all aspects of the way in which the divine thought expresses itself through humanity, among other ways, are they not, through these inspirational activities. In fact, this is a very inspirational deck. It's going to enliven your artistic ability and your creative impulses, I think. That's the result that I have found that people have to it when I deal directly with them. Now, speaking of that, I have done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for people from different countries around the world in the course of the last month over FaceTime and Skype. And if you might be interested to see what's involved in that, just check out the information that's in the description box below. I've also done a number of healings over FaceTime and Skype for people around the world as well. Now, healings are free. No catch. It's a free lunch. You won't be sold or recommended anything. Readings, of course, I have to charge for. And the prices, the major currencies are set out in the fee section that's in the web link below. At the end of the video, have a look at the website anyway, because I think you might find some things that are interesting in there, I would imagine. But anyway, let's get things underway for you now, shall we? And see what is involved for you in November of 2023, the highly talented and attractive Capricorn. Let's have a look now. Now, there are no video ads breaking their way into this content, so you can relax and just enjoy the experience directly without interruption. Now, here is the Seven of Poetry. This is the Six of Science. This is the Ace of Science. This is Religion, number 5. I suspect Blake has a particular take on religion, being not too... And there's the other major arcana, number 10, being Whirlwind. Anyway, I won't talk about Blake's take on religion now, but I think as a mystic, generally they go beyond religion, as I know from personal experience. However, why don't you come now, sit down here next to me. You and I can have we'll just feast upon the art in these cards together while I do the reading for you.
Yes, well, I can see that you're going to need to dig deep, but you'll have great insight into things, and the pursuit of your ambitions and the use of your mind is going to bring you opportunity and success. Let's dig into that, shall we? And have a look at this first card. Now, remember, this is a poet that's put this art together. So one of the greatest poets in the English landscape. Now, there's a woman on the left there. Now, in line with the poet, why don't I call her Joy, the figure of Joy? And she is depicted as a statuesque young woman in flowing robes. And she has the blush of life on her cheeks. And her expression is very calm as she looks death in the eye without flinching. Now, boldly, she steps forward with her right foot. Now, the right side is the spiritual side in esoteric and hermetic philosophy. And her right hand upon her heart. I think that emphasizes her sincerity. Now, joy is the fearless spirit of life. The figure of death, on the other hand, is angry at her boldness, and he towers over her menacingly. Now, his left foot, that's the material side, is forward in this case, and his right hand points backward, and he threatens her with this arrow that you can see there, that arrow of destruction. Now, sometimes even knowing that you may not be able to win, or thinking that maybe you can't, with boldness you can, and you can always, of course, still tell the truth. Now, the astrology pertaining to this, given where the card is placed and the other cards around it, is that of Mars in the third decan of Leo. Now, this is good for you because Mars, of course, is exalted in your sign. Saturn, your ruler, treats Mars as an honored guest, and so when Mars is around you, good things happen. But the energy of fire is a long way down here at the number 7, and in the number 7 I have a mystical association with Venus, and Mars and Venus don't really get on. Now, Mars likes Leo, but the energy is starting to wane here, and the feminine energy of Venus doesn't really sit all that well with Mars in this situation, and you might think that it is your Mars energy that is pretty much all that is keeping you going in a particular situation. It might feel as if you are fighting a losing battle, but you're not. This number 7 also is about introspection, re-examination of things, but also about choices, responsibility, and about regaining control. Now, Mars in Leo usually indicates someone acting with authority and power, but here, to do that, you have to dig deep and use all your resources in what might seem to you to be a difficult situation. And so it's important to retain your focus. You will have a lot of courage at the moment, daring and impact, and I think there might be the chance of you taking some risks, and certainly you won't be in the mood for making any compromises. In fact, you're going to be pushing through obstacles. Now, the courage here is an outgrowth of your personal experience to date. It has arisen through your ability to learn from past experience. And if you apply these lessons, you'll be able to take further risks with greater awareness. Now, in a relationship setting, it may be that there are problems where you are running out of energy and ideas as to how to keep sustaining it, or to work or other matters where you're coming to the end of your tether in relation to something. Like you might have a crazy boss, for example. But compromises, I think, are out of the question now for you, because they would require a denial of your own inner reality. It is a time for you to stand your ground and to remain true to your energies unconditionally. Being true to yourself includes standing up for your own truth, even in the face of immense resistance. So trust your power in this present situation, and you'll know it when you get to it. You must assert yourself at all costs. But as a responsible adult, are you ready to accept all consequences? Become aware of whatever fears have prevented you until now from asserting yourself. And say this to yourself: I express my own reality openly and honestly. Now, for some reason, I feel drawn to the card that is sitting underneath it. It's almost like a by the by, this thing. It's almost like a side issue that's coming up in the context of these other cards. What's it called? Who is that? I think I know what that is. Okay, let's have a look here at the image first, shall we? And have a look at it. A lot of Taurus around here. A lot of Taurus going to be important to you. Now, the heading, of course, is that of religion, as you can see. There's a major arcana. This would otherwise be called the Hierophant, and so I might call this energy the Hierophant. But in this image here, I think the whole idea of religion is mockingly symbolized by... Now, I know that at the time of his birth, the monarch in England was a guy called... What's his name again? George III was the king, and he was very unpopular, but he lived on and on and on. He was also the head of the Church of England, as the monarchs in England always are, and he lived during both the American and French revolutions, but he eventually went mad, this guy. And this image is also, I think, a political jibe, because the poet Blake, he sympathized with the American revolutionary cause, which was seeking separation from England, and he also sympathized with the early ideals of the French Revolution. Now, the king is wearing a papal tiara that's there, and bat wings. I think that symbolizes the unholy collusion of church and state. Now, dressed both as a priest and a king, he sits on a Gothic throne, which sort of resembles a cathedral, doesn't it, that thing? And he floats on a cloud, while on his lap he's holding open the Book of Brass, which I assume means law in a way. Now, these angels here, I think, represent the queens of England and France, who bow to natural religion, their wingtips touching the bat wings. But notice their crossed scepters down there. They just strike me. I think they signify worldly control and insincerity. And this is emphasized further, I think, by these snakes which are crawling from underneath the gowns. Now, there's fire going up here, which is frightening off angels in all directions up here. And there are two angels, one there and one there, which seem to be crucified, representing betrayed love and piety looking away. Now, for you, I think that this does represent a time. We've dealt with the image, but what I can get from it is that I think that this represents a time for you just to go along with things at the moment, to go along with rules and traditions and regulations in your life, even if you don't necessarily agree with them. This is not the time to be upsetting the fruit cart. It may well be a period of intense learning, I think. It's very good energy for people who are in large organizations, in teaching, in hospitals, in public service. And I think what we also have here is that there is a group identity forming with you. You feel part of a group, and you may well be seeking advice from people or giving advice to people, is what I see. And that's a good thing, because I think that at the present moment, you'll be very gifted at getting information across to other people and also motivating and inspiring them. I think you'll be very good at listening and speaking, and you will want to make your ideas tangible and usable, which in fact you are going to do. If I'm looking at this energy coming up here, certainly there is a deep desire to be challenged by new experiences here. Now, I think also the search for the self for you will lead you into the spiritual realms, and I think you should therefore check out a few spiritual teachings. Maybe just get on YouTube and have a look at things. Plenty out there. But say this to yourself: I honor the sacred within me. I am inspired by learning and teaching. I am creative and productive in my family and work life. There is only one voice worth listening to, and that is the voice of my own heart. Now, that process of insight and mental achievement leading to success is, I think, foreshadowed by this card here. And let's have a look at what is going on. And again, bear in mind, this is a poet who has produced this. Now here we have an old man who is writing with his right hand, spiritual side. And, well, I know that most of Blake's works actually were etchings. And so which I know nothing about myself. So I assume this person is etching with this left material side. Now he's pouring on a book here, and there are roots coming from the book which suggest that the knowledge that he is receiving is coming by way of nature rather than by intellect. Now these two things here can represent, for me, two types of objects. First of all, they could be tombstones. The second case is they could be the tablets that Moses brought down from Mount Sinai in the Old Testament or Hebrew Bible, which had a number of ways written out in which human behavior was restricted. There is this dead forest of error, which is circling around here, almost, if you like, entombing the man inside. Now, though this is coming from nature, all he has to do is look around and see this sky opening up to him, and he will become inspired. So inspiration is always here for you to have, and you will indeed be inspired, I think, because this is bringing you mental stimulation and the expansion of your imagination. These are all things which are to do with this card here. Now this is the raw energy of air, awakening, inspired thought within you. This is representing and symbolizing the birth of intellect and bringing rational thought and lining it up with the enlightenment of spiritual awareness. It brings a sense of genius to you. It sets fire to groundbreaking insights, whether that be in science, in art or music, lifestyle or business. You might find you have a lot of abstract concepts which need to be made tangible and workable. This is an ace, so it's the commencement of the suit. And this is blessing you with great imagination, creative and inventive inspiration, bringing breakthrough, aha, eureka moments. Now the key to this energy here is using mental focus, clarity, and direction to achieve your goal. And the gift of this energy is an inspired intellect. Do you know, this is penetrating very deep into the subconscious and also into your soul self. And it's bridging the wisdom of the soul to turn on the light of consciousness. Now this ace is planting the seeds of courage, justice, honesty, and truth. And it does bring an urgency of you putting your thoughts and ideas into action. You'll have a real sense of urgency about you, I think, at this time. I think that this balances challenges which you're dealing with here, and it is directing your mental conscious, your mind back on course. Now it's gifts of understanding, foresight, action, and power. They cut away all obstacles and fears, blocking the clear, focused will. This really does represent the idea of mind over matter for you. Think you can do it, do it. Now this is bringing the birth of a lot of potential for you. Actually, it could also signify a child that's here. It represents new ideas. If you're feeling stuck, in doubt, or blocked with a problematic situation, this is going to cut through the mental fears
and all that chatter that's going on in your brain, it's going to cut through that with power, purpose, and clarity, which is going to allow you to resolve the issue. It brings success and victory through life's challenges, and your wisdom is going to expand as a consequence. This is really telling you that now is the time to seize the day, take action, and create new purpose in your life, and create your own destiny.
Now, in the same suit, there was this. I remember 2 science cards. Here we go. There's 6 of science. Called Passage, incidentally, for whatever reason. Now let's have a look here and see, well, what can I see in here? You, of course, are free to see whatever you want. I just see what I see here. Now, I think down here there is a man who is exploring the countryside, the wilderness, with a globe of fire, while above, a naked woman. Can you see her up here? She is pushing back the clouds to reveal the night sky and the stars above. Now the man, he blindly strides forward with his left foot forward. Do you see that? We spoke about that being material. On something of a fearful journey. And he encounters, well, dread terrors which he feels are writhing around in the sky. Now his globe of imagination, as I see it here, is enclosed by his selfishness, and its black flames, they don't provide any light. Nor, have a look here, nor does he see this lion, who actually seems ready to offer guidance or even a good laugh to the man. Well, the lion is our ignored instincts and also life's unexpected and exotic surprises. Now, the unseen lion and the blackened globe, I think, represent lost opportunities, much like that tourist who carries the wrong luggage, doesn't really look at any of the people who live in the place where they're touring, and misses out on all of the fun. Nevertheless, this traveller pushes forward with a sense of purpose, feeling his way as he goes. Now, I think that this woman up here is the imagination at work who tries to shed light on the struggling man. Now, these stars up here, that's the constellation of Pleiades, and that would be Orion, I think. Now, Pleiades is associated with freedom, and this Orion is represented the foolish hunter, I suppose. And in one hand, she grasps the moon, and in the other hand, she grasps the sun. So she is herself the passage, if I can use that word that's there, the passage or the mediator between the contraries of female and male and the unconscious and conscious modes of existence. Now, the astrology is that of Mercury in the second decan of Aquarius, which is the 30th of January to 9th of February. Look, Mercury is very airy and flighty, so that air planet of Mercury finds itself in the fixed sign of air, which is Aquarius. And I think Mercury is exalted in Aquarius, and that highlights the intellectual qualities of this energy. Now, as I say, Aquarius is an air sign, which is kind of detached and intellectual by nature. And Mercury has the ability to analyze and think. And the combination of these two things brings you a clear perspective going forward. But this does suggest that you should take
with respect to things, probably work and relationships, something of a detached but balanced there's a need here I'm getting of a detached but balanced assessment of a situation is needed. You need to analyze something without bias and too much emotion in order to get the best result. Look, Aquarius is also the sign of innovation and originality, so this can also represent you communicating, because that's the great strength of Mercury, communicating new ideas or plans, which may be actually quite unconventional, in an orderly way. So you'll have a great ability to analyze things and to bring your ideas together. You'll almost have an all-encompassing vision, as if you are standing on top of a building and looking down at all the moving parts, giving you an all-embracing understanding. There's mental clarity here. And actually there's a chance of relocation I see as well. But there's a period of calmness here as well. Now, the perceptions that you receive now are not only seen and recognized, but they can be effectively communicated. The most varied ideas and visions, they're going to meet at one central point within you. And this is allowing for a new, all-encompassing assessment of things, which will bring the rose of realization into bloom. Now, this also means, I think, that there is a situation that maybe you haven't up to date been able to come to grips with. It's now actually getting better, and you're thinking out a better approach in dealing with the situation. There's certainly a greater level of awareness to your thinking and action now. You possess the ability to perceive on different levels and from different perspectives, and your understanding of things unites many of the different aspects within you. Now, where are and what are the ruts in your life? Where do you feel stagnant? Now, trust your insight, and obviously communicate in a way that others are going to understand. Keep it simple and allow that rose to unfold. And say this to yourself: the rose of recognition, it blossoms in my heart. And then we'll have to deal quickly, I think, because I'm aware of your time, with this final card here, which is a great thing. I mean, it says great. It's a turning point of your life now. Great success is ahead of you. Let's have a look at this card here. It's called Whirlwind. Now, I'm getting very much that a feeling here of, there's a book in the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible called the Book of Ezekiel. Now, what happened with the book of Ezekiel, he says in chapter 1, verse 4, that I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north. And in verse 10 of chapter 1, he said, and there was a creature that had at the front of it the face of a man, at the side of it the face of a lion, at the right of it the face of a bull, and at the back of it the face of a eagle. They happen to be the four signs of the fixed signs of the fixed signs of the elements. And what we have here is we have the eyes of God, if you like, forming the wheel. And underneath here, you see, the reason why I'm getting this Ezekiel thing here is there's like a little old guy. You see that down there? I think that is the prophet Ezekiel looking up in wonder at all of this. Now, this is speaking to me of a new beginning for you, an expansion, creativity, a big breakthrough, self-realization, and actually something of quite unexpected fortune. There's a great degree of luck around you at the moment. Now, there's a chance opportunities are going to show up, and there's a possibility of actually a life-changing vision that's here as well. Now, what we see here is that there is also the planet of Jupiter all over this card, and it is bringing to you good luck, expansion, sensibility, and achievement is here. So I think what we have here is a change is about to happen. You may need to alter your present course or change things around to set the stage for the right outcomes to come. If miracles aren't happening in your life at this time, there's something wrong, because you stand before the possibility of a great breakthrough. Seize and use the moment
And are you really ready for the great fortune and what's standing in the way? And say to yourself, I am a prosperous individual. I am flexible in times of change. I enjoy manifesting internal abundance externally. Abundance which created me is what I am, and I am ready for the miracle of my life. What a great set of cards for you. And
Well, I told you
done
that that was an interesting deck, didn't I? And I think you'll agree with me that it was. And what a wonderful month it's going to be for you. Don't you deserve it? Really, you do. Do you know what? I love doing your readings. I look forward to seeing you each month, and in particular, I look forward to seeing the subscribers. You're very, very dear to my heart. Well, I guess unless I see you privately, then I'll see you again next month. And until then, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.